Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Aeronautics back on Tonga Tapu, or I don't know if it's Tongatapu. Uh, Either way, I don't know how to pronounce it, but here we are, roughly a month later than the time we landed. Although for you guys, I'm uploading everything at once, so hardly any delay there. But for me, I've been waiting out a very long time. There's been constant bad weather at Niue. I've had, oh my gosh, the stuff that's happened to us, well, since we've been on Tonga. We had a cyclone, and we had an earthquake nearby, and we had a meter tsunami. So, yeah, more on that a little bit later. Quite a lot has happened in that month that we've been stuck on the ground, but things are looking up. Okay, so just like all the other legs previously, here is all of the legs together. Today we're flying leg 6, which is from number 5 Tonga to number 6 Niue. We'll be flying the shortest distance of 371 miles. From here on out, it only gets harder, and the learning curve comes steep. So let's hope that I've mastered everything before this point, because the real test is coming up. We're going to be flying at 25,000 feet, and this is the very exciting leg where we will be going directly over the Tonga Trench, and underneath the flight plan, not the trench, underneath the actual flight plan, is forecasted to be 32,173 feet in depth. I will call that off when we reach it. But know that we're going to be flying over the second deepest trench on the Earth, behind only the Mariana Trench. So this is going to be pretty legit. Now, being a short flight, we're able to fly the speed profile of 1, which is burn it up as fast as you can go. Who cares about fuel? The only thing that's limiting us here is the amount of cooling that our engines can do. At high speed. Any more than that, and we would be overstressing them beyond a 15-minute limitation. So we'll be flying just about as fast as we could ever cruise. I'm anticipating this flight to take just over 1 hour, and we'll have 514 miles left in the tank if everything goes according to plan. Okay, so as I said, the weather was really bad, so I figured, I would show you guys what I was dealing with, and you can see there's pretty much overcast, low IFR all the time at Niue, and given that we're VFR, no GPS, no radio, very serious situation, not being able to see where you're going. So we would not have made it, which is why I didn't fly. Okay, and like I said, since we've been waiting here, a South Pacific Ocean magnitude 8.1 megathrust earthquake decided to occur in the Tonga Trench. That tells you that the Tonga Trench is very much alive tectonically. There's a reason why it's 32,000 feet deep. It's because the Pacific plate keeps getting yanked underneath of the Australian plate. It's being pulled down, and it gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and there reaches a point where there's so much stress built up on the plate being dragged down, and the Australian plate being wedged against the Pacific plate going down, that there's a little bit of a snap. And the snap is a megathrust earthquake where a locked zone of a tectonic plate becomes unlocked, and there's followed by a lot of ground shaking, the ground lowering 6 feet and extending, in this case, eastward approximately 30 feet, and releasing, you guessed it, a tsunami. Here are the tsunami warnings that were present just a couple days ago when we were sitting on Tonga. It was deemed as a threat, 0.3 to 3 meter, or 0.3 to 1 meter rather, 1 to 3 feet in height. So not too bad, but for boats and beachgoers and everything else near the beach, it's a real pain. I haven't seen any news on Tonga being seriously messed up by the tsunami, so hopefully everything is all right there. Okay, so here's our nav log. Again, we're flying from Tonga to Niue. Not much to say about it other than we're going to be going really fast, so I'm anticipating the true airspeed to be about 367 miles per hour, which, like I said, is pretty much as fast as the plane can cruise. The only way we could go faster is if we climbed up to 30,000 feet so that our indicated would equal a faster true. Other than that, there's not really that much to say about this nav log. It's pretty standard, pretty short. Okay, here's our celestial navigation log here that I'm going to be filling out throughout the flight. Everything happens really quick. In fact, I've had to add a non-time controlled point called trench rise, because in less than 1 hour from top of climb, we're at beginning of descent. And I need some way to verify that I'm still on course on my track. Because if the winds are off, I won't know it until I get to the first waypoint. So if the first waypoint happens to be beginning of descent, well, that's a problem, because then I'm not ready to descend because I've been blown off course. So trench rise is designed to allow us to figure out what the wind speed is, make a correction so that in 20 minutes later, when we arrive at the beginning of descent, we're exactly where we should be. And trench rise is exactly what it sounds like. After the Tonga Trench, the land, or the Pacific Plate, will be, by the way, transitioning from the Australia Plate to the Pacific Plate. All the flight thus far has been done on the Australian Plate. And the thing about the Pacific Plate is, well, compared to the Australian Plate, there's not too many islands out there. So we're really going from archipelagos to blue water atolls is really what's going on here. Now, Niue is a lot bigger than an atoll. It's about 6 miles in radius, but that's still smaller than Tonga, Tapu, which is just about 8 miles in radius and slightly rectangular in shape. But anyway, and then clustered at 40 minutes is beginning descent, LOP intercept, and the airport Hanan, all right together just like that. And as far as fuel goes, we're single engine all the way to Niue, and we're single engine return all the way back if for some reason we can't land there. And speaking of fuel, we can take a look at the fuel burn chart here. And things are fairly straightforward. There's almost no point in doing a fuel burn chart in this case. The only reason that I'm not going to do a fuel burn chart for this, the only reason I am going to do a fuel burn chart for this segment is simply practice for the Easter Island to Robinson Crusoe leg. I am very much concerned about that leg, and I want to be as good as I possibly can so that I can give myself the best odds of surviving this trip as I possibly can. So this is just all practice. Note that the headline never comes anywhere near intersecting the one engine return line. So basically what that means is we could fly there and come back and then fly there again and come back on one engine if we really needed to. That's the deal with the fuel. Okay, and lastly, here's our landfall chart. We'll be flying into Hanan, which is what I am using to time the sun here for all of the altitude and azimuths here. The LOP star that we'll be using this time is Vega, because I think the deal with, I think we were using Antares. We were using Antares for the previous flights. That has now progressed above the zenith and is now behind us due to the amount of time that has passed since we landed here. So you go a full month, that's a twelfth of the sky. So that's like 30 degrees. And, well, that's pushed it over the zenith, so we should pick a better star, and that better star happens to be Vega. It's also brighter, too, so we have a really good shot for getting it. Even if the weather's kind of bad, which it's a little bit forecast to be that way, just a little bit. High clouds and middle clouds, but hopefully no low clouds. If there are, I'll just fly back if I can't land. Again, covered the entire width of an hour, and I should notice an hour on either side. I should mention, not notice, that 1550 is actually very close to the time we'll be taking off, which is at 1546. So this, I probably, if I was thinking about it closely, I probably would have smushed this down, and instead of giving me plus or minus an hour, plus or minus 30 minutes in every 10 minutes probably would have been more appropriate because we're going faster. But the last thing I will note is that I had to plan this flight 4 times because every single time I'm planning for a specific weekend day that I can set aside 6 hours to execute one of these flights and generate the video. So what that means is I am very much dependent on that particular day that I choose to have good weather. And it takes me about as long to plan a flight as it does to fly one. So if the flight is 2 hours long, it takes me about 2 hours to plan it. So you can imagine having to plan the same flight 4 times in a row gets pretty old pretty fast. I've spent about 8 hours planning this flight. I'm a little bit concerned that it might be too well planned out and somehow be different than the rest of them. I don't think there has, because generally the more times you do something, the better at it you become, but you can become complacent. So that I am going to be at a heightened alert for potential complacency that I might have because I've planned this flight so many times. That being said, we've been on Tonga for an entire month. I love the island, but we gotta continue across the Pacific Plate. Okay, we are here, and the correct weather is here. And from the looks of that windsock, it looks like things are pretty windy, which probably means that I'm going to be issuing about as many curse words as we have feet to climb. Anyhow, I will begin getting started with the checklist, and we'll show the engine startup, and then we'll skip right forward to just about the takeoff time. Okay, I totally forgot to restart the video for the startup, so instead we'll do the engine checks. We're ready to go on the runway here, and I confirmed that I did line up with the windsock, so we should have a really nice, we should have a really nice takeoff, really quick. But after that, I'm probably going to complain about it. So we're going to do the left engine up, and then we're going to bring power back to 20. Actually, I want to do on this one here, so I don't get them both at once. Which one of you guys is the prop governors? This one. Okay. Alright, so we want to get back 200 RPM and also get to what the POH says, which is 2300. We're good. Let's see, we can also check the tachometer. No, I just did. I'm getting a little bit rusty at this. It's been a while. Ammeter, voltmeter are good. So it's just the magnetos. I want to do this in order next time, because you're supposed to. But and it's been a while. Come on. There we go. Alright, back to both. Let's try this again. What's screwing me up is I don't have a 2-engine throttle quadrant, so I can only control one engine or or sorry, so I can only control both engines at a time, and the POH says to control one engine. So there's my next investment. Okay, throttle 2300, right magnetos check. We're on both. We want to go to, that's not right. There's right. Except we got to start over because maximum of 100 RPM drop. All right, let's try this again. Nope. Stop. There we go. We're going to be here all night if I get it, order it perfect. Okay, back to both. Left. Hey, there we go. Back to both. We're good. Prop governor is full forward, bringing back for a... Hang on. Need to grab them one at a time here. Bring the other governor back for a 200 RPM reduction. Oh, there we go. Full forward again, looking for attainment of 2300 RPM once again. Good. Ammeter, check under 50 amps. Voltmeter, check that it is close to bus voltage, which is, I think, 24 volts. Yeah, 24 volts. Okay, we're done with the run-up checks. We'll bring the throttle back to 1200. Alright, let's see how much time we've got left. That was a quick taxi, so yeah, 40, and takeoff time is at 46. So we got just about 5 minutes to do stuff. We can set up our first shot, which is going to be top of climb here. Top of climb is going to be 20 degrees south, and 50 minutes. And then, you guys remember last time we did a mouse wheel party. We're going to do half a mouse wheel party here. We're going to go out to 174 degrees and 20 minutes west. There we go. So that's our latitude and longitude. Now I got to pick a star. Let's see, we want horizon to zenith. Oh, shoot. I don't know how, but earlier today, my computer just decided I'm going to reboot. And I lost everything that I had preset here to, in an effort to try to make things go faster on the initial setup. And of course, you know, so much for that. So we want 174 degrees and 20 minutes west. Like, I'll restart my computer. Just don't restart it for me, okay? Like, a lot of these programs assume, oh, if we don't make him restart it, he's never going to restart it. That's not true with me. If you just tell me to restart now, I will. Don't restart for me. Just tell me to restart. Frickin' computers. Okay. Let's see. Liftoff is going to be at 15:46 plus 16 minutes, so 16:02. Top of climb at 16:02. I see the weather updates working, which is good. Alright, 16:02, and we're going to be heading roughly northeast. So we want a star that is somewhat in the northeast. Vega would actually be very good for that. So talk will say object is Vega, speed star, and it is going to be at 217 minus, so that's going to be 38 degrees for an azimuth, and the elevation is going to be 14 degrees 35 minutes rounded off of Skyview Cafe. The other thing too is I'm not going to try to keep up with all the checklist procedure that I've been doing in the past. it's not possible. I'm going to be hitting checkpoints every 20 minutes. It's just not happening. And then let's see where the moon is. Moon is actually, it's pretty close to east, so we can't use the moon. We can, yeah, off our left wing, we'll do Spica as the other object, and that's going to be at 104 plus 180, so that's 285 degrees. Yeah, 285 degrees, and the elevation is going to be 61 degrees, 15 minutes. And let me get this in here quickly. We're just about 1 minute to needing to abandon this. So we're going to go up to shoot, 38. I went way past it. This is for the first star, which is our speed star, Vega. And also good that we're using the speed star as the LOP star, because that gets me used to it. 14 degrees. So close to being 1 hour above the horizon. 35, not 55. Okay, I think we're all set up there. I think we are good. Alright, takeoff is at minutes 46, which means we're 45 seconds to go. Get myself set up here. 4, 5, 6. Alright, so we're gonna actually climb at maximum performance climb because if we didn't, we'd actually be increasing the throttle for cruise, and that just doesn't make very much sense now, does it? Okay, 10 seconds to go. Brakes, pump and hold. Bring the throttles up to 44 inches. Sorry guys, my rudder pedals stink. Alright, brakes release. Alright, there's 100, rotate. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay. Alright, let me gain a little bit more altitude, and then we'll talk about what just happened, and what I did to not kill myself. Alright, let's check all of our temperatures after that nightmare. Everything looks good. So we're going to go back up to climb. And we're going to bring the throttles back to 27. Or the RPM rather. So we're climbing the fastest we really can here. So we want to establish 165 miles per hour. Okay, so what I think happened there was I hit a really big downdraft as I was taking off. So initially the way that I take off with the yoke here is I'll pull back, and as soon as I break contact, I'll release. And that will keep me in ground effect. So what I think happened was when I came out of ground effect, I got seriously messed up and almost pushed into the ground. So then I increase the angle of attack, but by increasing my angle of attack to climb faster against the downdraft, it also means that I'm closer to a stall. So I needed to pick up more airspeed. Now, takeoff in this plane is actually not the fastest that you can make the engines go. There is a maximum performance takeoff that can occur at 54 inches of manifold pressure. And even more than that, there is called war emergency power, which can be used for very short periods of time under dire emergencies. And that's at 60 inches of manifold pressure. And I just barely came up to that point for just a minute, and then felt safe again once we pulled away from the Earth and decreased the engines. I don't want to use war emergency power because it's for emergencies, and if there's an emergency going on when I'm crossing the Pacific Ocean, I'm a little bit concerned about that. All right, continuing the climb checklist. Engine instruments, let's see, manifold pressure, RPM, oil temperature, engines 1-2, oil pressure 1-2, fuel pressure 1-2, coolant temperature 1-2, and carburetor air temperature 1-2, ammeter 1-2. Perfect. I'm trying to get a little bit better about my panel scans here. Alright, we're almost set the trim for 165. The boost pumps, I'll turn those off, but we got to turn them back on once we get to 12,000 feet. Actually, before. And let's see, we're at about 7,000 feet. I know it's technically regulation to turn your landing lights off at 10,000 feet, but I'm over the Pacific Ocean, and there's nothing that's going to run into me. So we'll just turn those off for the time being. Recognition lights as desired, those are on. And now we're up to the 12,000 foot checklist here. And I'll log takeoff on time. Now I can breathe. Actually, not too bad. We're kind of in a stable air mass right now. And this is what I was expecting weather-wise, too. Kind of like mid-level clouds, and then higher cirrostratus above that. So that's good. No surprises yet. Switch over to my red glasses now that we're away from the city lights, so I can get my night vision here. It does really help that we have a last quarter moon. The moon, whoa, the moons that are best for us are full and last quarter, because those stay in the sky. The first quarter sets at 6 p.m. and we take off generally after midnight, very close to dawn. So when I wear the red glasses, the moon is bright red. You know, a lot like the moon spirit was in Avatar: The Last Airbender when it was killed by General Zhao. Alright, we're at 11.5 and I don't want to lose the engines this time. So I've just put the fuel boost pumps back on again. O2 flow. My eyes. Okay, oxygen flow is on. And can we see that blinker? Okay, I see it. We're good. Blinker is working, and we're going up to 25,000 feet. Anticipated temperature up there is minus 15, so we're turning this guy on. It's supposed to be cabin heat, but either way. I see you. We just probably hit some sort of shear layer there. Alright, I'm going to get my cruise profile information up. This time I get lots of time to prepare because 25,000 feet is high, even if we're at maximum climb performance here. Let's see, our cruise settings for this flight. We're going to be using speed 1, maximum continuous is the description. The row is 25,000 feet, so we're using 44 inches and 2,600 RPM. And you know what I said about actually going up in cruise? The only difference between climb and cruise is going from here to there. That's it. Let's see how we're doing on speed. We're probably about 2/3 of the way through our climb now. Ooh, not many high clouds. I like this. Oh man. Stargazer's dream. Dang, look at the angle we're going up at. Alright, that's not quite as steep as it looked when we were over here. Still, it's pretty dang steep. Yeah, all these clouds are lit up by the moon. It really does help. It's amazing what a difference it makes. I can see the water so clearly. Moonless nights, fear them. I can see Tonga Tapu too. Okay, so I said we were 2/3 of the way through. It's 55, just about 56. So we were 10 minutes after takeoff, and climb is anticipated to be 16 minutes, so I think we're right on time. I really hope it's not that windy at Niue, because oh my gosh, if we got a downdraft like that when we were trying to land, oh man, it would not be good. Alright, at top of climb, we're going to be in about 4,000 feet of water. Just 13 minutes later, we'll be over 32,000 feet. I can really stargaze. It's amazing. I think this is the clearest night we've had so far out of all the flights. And you know, half of the atmosphere is now below us. So half of the air is now gone between us and them. Alright, looks like we're coming up on 23,000. Alright, 24. So we're going 165 miles an hour. Watch what the indicated airspeed indicator does when we start to level off. Alright, we're coming up on 24.5, so we'll do the cruise checklist. Throttles as desired, 44 inches of manifold pressure. Prop governors, 2,600 RPMs. Trim as desired, and trim way down. And we'll see if we can start closing some of those shutters, but we got to be really careful because we're at pretty much maximum speed here. You got to be really careful. So I'm expecting to see an indicated airspeed of about 236, so it seems like we're doing pretty good so far. Alright, moving on, checking the instruments, manifold pressure, tachometer, oil temperature, fuel pressure, oil pressure, let's see, coolant temperature, carburetor air temperature, ammeter, and voltmeter. Alright, we're all good. Fuel quantity monitor. Oh yeah, we should switch to drop tanks right now. We're on reserve, drop tank, and I can see it thanks to the moon. Reserve to drop tank at 16:02, and that's our shot time, is it not? Fuel quantity monitor, fuel selectors to drop tanks. Check the fuel quantity is good. Intercooler shutters as desired. Let's mess with the temperatures once we've settled out here. We're still climbing. And I need to get the first shot off. We're now 1 minute late, so yeah, let's do that now. This is Vega. Yep, that's going to be no offset. Okay, so Vega is at 38 degrees, so that's going to be 148. Get this guy plot here real quick. And I also need the time, so I'm going to do Vega. The azimuth was 38. The altitude was 14 degrees, 35 minutes. Actual time of the shot was at 16:03, so we're just about 1 minute behind here. Zero offset per nautical miles. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and plot star 1. And, yeah, that was it. So, alright. We're 1 minute behind, so I'm going to revise the Tonga trench estimate to 1616. What is 16 plus 16? 32. As in the 32,000 feet of water that will be under the plane. That's an easy number to remember. Having set that one up, real quick in my log, I'm also going to take down star 2, which is going to be Spica. The azimuth is going to be 285, and then the altitude 61 degrees 15 minutes. And we'll have to plug this information in before we get the actual time of the shot here. So 285. And 61 degrees. .15 Okay, we have the information down. Clear the shot. And this is Spica. Save the first one as talk speed LOP. Alright, so in Google Earth, once this shot completes, we'll be able to get our reading here. Okay, we got an offset of -10 nautical miles, so that's going to be in the opposite direction of 285. So that means the reciprocal, which is 105. 105, a 10 nautical mile offset. So I'm going to drag out 10 nautical miles at heading 105 from top. And I'm going to swing the line over an additional 90 degrees. So 105 becomes 195, grabbing the tail of the vector and extending the line out. That's good. Save, talk, course, LOP. So we are actually a little bit off course already, which may have been because of the wind, may have been because of my horrible piloting. We'll have to see. I only have one point of reference. You know, that's not good enough for speed. You need 2 references for speed, and so far I have but 1. And, I mean, technically, you could know when takeoff happens, but do keep in mind. Yeah, see, so we're looks like we're a little bit to the right, of course. That's within the margin of error, though. Alright, we still climb, so I'm going to try to force the nose down a little bit here. The reason I can't use my departure time to talk time is because your climb time is totally different than your cruise, right? We were going about 165 miles an hour. Which averaged out to be about 200 when you consider the indicated a true airspeed. And if we're up -15 degrees at 25,000 feet here on my E6B, so my indicated airspeed is 250. Well, guess what? That's a true of 390 miles per hour. That's how fast we're moving right now. Which seems to be above the POH performance. And forget about closing the windows. I was just hoping for 240. You know, we're still climbing and accelerating. Dang, that's impressive. You are one fast demon. Oh, but you know what? We actually picked up a little bit more RPM here. Yeah, let's bring this back. Actually, we can't. Huh. What is that, a runaway? Well, we're not behaving at all like the POH. Let's see, 10 minutes now. So we're going 390 miles per hour. If I convert to true, assuming there's no wind. So if I mark this out now, whoa, I don't want to initiate a dive now. You got to be really careful at these kinds of speeds. They result in very large altitude swings here. It's been oh yeah, I need to write down talk. Talk was at 16:03. Wait a minute. Ahead? No, we were right on time. 16:03. Right on time for the late shot, so we're 1 minute behind. It's been 8 minutes, and in 8 minutes we would have traveled 52 miles from talk. And in 52 miles, ooh yes, hello, we are starting to go over the Tonga Trench. It is 14,600 feet deep here, and in the next 6 minutes we will more than double the depth to 32,000 feet. If there's one place you don't want to ditch, it's here. Okay, an extra minute brings us to 58 miles. And I play a lot of Silent Hunter 4, so you're going to hear me calling this out like a, I forget what they call, I guess it's a elevatorman, the person that controls the depth of the submarine. Current depth, 15,600 feet. Oh, I should start getting set up for my next shot. So trench rise is going to be at, this is not optional, I do have to do this. It's going to be at 1958 is 20-0. And it's going to be at 172.35. And I need to update that in Skyview Cafe. We're going to 20 degrees south even and 172, 35 minutes, and the new time is going to be 16:22. 16, 22, is that right? Yes. Alright, so Vega is going to be at 213. So it's going to be 33 degrees. And then 1855. Okay, we should be set up now. Clear and check that it's in here, in Google Earth rather. Alright, clear star 1, star 2. It is 16:15, which meant that we are 12 minutes off. 12 minutes will give us 76 miles. 76 miles from top will put us in current depth 24,900 feet. Alright, let's see. We're going to be in 32,000 feet of water. 83 miles, which is exactly 13 minutes after 1603. So yeah, 1616 is still the time. 30 seconds. Current depth, 29,560 feet. All right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now is the best guess estimated time. Current depth, 32,173 feet. Directly crossing the plate boundary between the Australian plate and the Pacific plate over the Tonga Trench, a subduction zone. And our current altitude is 24,500 feet. So when you add 24,500 feet to 32,200 feet, we get a grand total of 56,700 feet above the solid surface of planet Earth. Isn't that amazing? Alright, the next thing I need to do is revise my estimate for trench rise. So the distance, we're going a lot faster than I anticipated. And that's not the wind, that's us versus the POH. We're really cranking out speed right now. So let's see, we get, let's see how many miles. To trench rise, it's 129 miles, which is going to take exactly 20 minutes. Well, that's the time I factored in. Something's going on funky here. Oh, wait a minute. 371 is what I was expecting. So why am I surprised with 390? That's actually not that far. It's not that far off at all. And we're going to start slowing down now because we've been descending for a little bit and have to climb back up again. Oh. Alright. So, 1603, 1623. So we got 5 minutes to go. I'm just going to check all the information here. 20 south. 172.35 west. I think I might have said east a number of times. Vega is going to be at 33 degrees, 34 degrees would be more accurate. 34 degrees. 18 degrees, 55 minutes. Still descending. All right, and let's see, to the northwest, Spica is at 279 degrees. Altitude 55 degrees, 10 minutes. Alright, get all this stuff plugged in now to my celestial nav chart here. Alright, trench rise, Vega, azimuth 34 degrees, altitude 18 degrees, 55 minutes. Start 2, Spica. Start 2 azimuth, 279 degrees. 55 degrees, 10 minutes. Alright, we're as ready as we can be for the shot. We're just waiting for 16:23. Alright, 45 seconds to start of shot. Also, we went through a waypoint. We should now be following 50 degrees. It's going to look like that. We were south of course, so I'm not going to worry too... At least, I think we were south of course, so I'm not going to worry too much the fact that we are straying a little bit far north. The shot will tell us whether we actually did or not. Alright, 10 seconds to the shot. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Vega. This is trench rise. That's pretty bang on. Yeah, I'm not going to touch that. We are smack on for time. Yep, we are right at trench rise. We're on time to the minute. Current depth at this point is now 20,100 feet. The Pacific Plate shallows a lot slower than the Australian Plate does because it's the subducting plate. In fact, the abyssal plains, once we finally get out of the trench, is between 16,000 and 17,000 feet around Niue. we haven't seen average depths that high ever so far along the route. Okay, actual time was at 16:23, offset was 0, mark *1. And now we're going to get the information plugged in for Spica. So that's 279 degrees. Okay, clicking does work, so the real question is, does this compound? Nope, it's just as fast mouse wheeling. So you're going to get to 279 degrees. And the altitude is going to be 55 degrees, 10 minutes. Alright, I've got the offset, starting the shot now. So the shot's going to be for 16:24 is the actual time of the shot. Alright, and I need to get trench rise plugged in, so I'm going to, let's see, draw out at 34 degrees, plus 90, so that's 124 degrees is our speed line for well, look at that. That's on too. Huh. We're doing pretty good. Maybe it's the speed, you know, the wind doesn't affect us as much, is my guess. I'm not touching that. We are right on. Alright, say the second one. This is an interesting name. This is Trench Rise. Speed LOP. Okay? Alright. Plot start 2. We are actually right on the money. 285 degrees. Minus 90 is going to be 195 degrees. Wait a minute. 279. So that's 184. I don't know where I got that second number from. But anyway. Save. Trench rise. Speed LOP. No. Course LOP. Had too much fun reading off the name. Alright, so here's the deal. I can, without a doubt, say that our current depth was 20,100 feet when we took our trench rise shot on Vega. 100%. Because that is our dead reckoned, not dead reckoned, that was our true position. We are right on time, which hasn't happened yet at all in the in any of the flights. That's why I'm mentioning it. Alright, now it should be time to start turning over a little bit here. Oh no, not up here. Not up here. Come on now. Alright, so let's do a speed check. It took us exactly 20 minutes to travel 126 miles. So on the inside of the E6B, I'm going to line up 20 with 126 on the outside. And it means we are truing 378 miles per hour. Which, if I look this up against the nav log, we were expecting to true 371. So we're within 7 miles per hour of the anticipated speed. So I take back what I said about the POH. We're pretty much bang on. So our indicated airspeed is about 245 miles per hour per the gauge. Let's see if we can solve air temperature, assuming that there's no winds, you know. So if I line up 245 to 378, so on the outside we'll do 378 on the E6B. On the inside we'll do 245. And then if I read off the density altitude of 25,000 feet, oh, it's only showing the current temperature as -5. I'm gonna make sure I did that right. 245 to 378. No, I didn't. Hang on. There we go. That's more like it. Ah, -20. So it's even colder than we thought. But we're also up. I didn't think about this. We're up 1,000 feet. So we'll have to add 2.5 degrees. -17.5. So it's about 2.5 degrees off. Alright, we need to get ready for beginning a descent. So we know now that we're truing 378, so I'm going to line up 378 on the E6B here. 78. And then we want to know how long it's going to take us to go 127 miles, because that's where the beginning of descent is. It's going to take exactly 20 minutes, which makes sense because I put trench rise halfway between the two. So beginning descent, expected 1643, and we can check that on our way in. So we got about 10 minutes to go. I'm actually going to set up for the destination, believe it or not, just so that I don't mess it up. So we're going to go down to 1905 and 169.55, and that's going to be the location of Niue. And then what I need to do now is say, okay, it's 1633. If I look at my landfall chart, we had information on Vega. My mind was blanking for a second. That was supposed to be at 31 degrees. Now it's going to be about 30 degrees azimuth. So we're going to bring the azimuth down to just about 30 degrees here. And this is where I have to be careful. The elevation is going to be somewhere between 22.5 and 24.5. And this is what I can't get wrong. Let me make sure that I have my, yes, I have my information here. Clear the shot and clear star 1, star 2. I need to do a little bit of linear interpolation here. So we'll take the shot at 35. So I need to do 24.8 minus 22.55, 2.35 divided by 4. So that's going to be 0.6, 0.6 plus 22.55. So we're going to go for 23.15, which is going to be 9, 10, 20, 23 degrees, 10 minutes. Oh my gosh, look at the luck. And let's see how far we are off right now. So what I'm doing right now is taking the line of position off of my LOP intercept. So at this time, Vega was expected to be within this position of the base for a star that is this way. And if what we have matches what the base has, we know that we're directly parallel to the star, or we're parallel to a line of position that would exist the same distance from the substellar location where that star appears straight up on the Earth. So I can see already, yeah, we have quite an offset. We have 65 miles of offset. And that's expected. That's going to tell us that we're about 3/4 of the way to beginning descent. So I'm going to be expecting 3/4 of the 20 minutes, or 15 minutes, is going to be added on to 1623. So I expect it to be 1638 right now as a cross check. And we're within a minute and a half. And a minute and a half, looking at the E6B, is going to translate to 9.5 miles, which is within the margin of error of the sextant, which means we're agreeing. And the other thing, too, is for beginning a descent, I can revise that estimate. 25 miles to beginning a descent at our current speed of 378 miles per hour means that we have just 4 minutes to go. Wow. So we took that shot at 30:37. Let me write that down in the log. Minus 65 nautical miles off LOPI at 37-ish. 1537 or 16? 1630. Wait a minute, 1637 now. Must have been at 1636. No, it was at 35. I mentioned that. 1635, 60 nautical mile offset, so it's 1639. We should prepare to do another shot just any moment now, really. So 39 is close enough to 40 for the purposes of a descent, not for LOP intercept. But for the purpose of descent, we'll assume that we are halfway between the two. So the average is going to turn out to be 29 degrees of azimuth, and the elevation is going to be 2367. So that is going to be 23 degrees and 40 minutes. I have this information here, so clear the shot and take the next one. Write down in my log again 16:39 is the time of the shot. Alright, we are 40 miles now from the LOP intercept. And that's nautical miles. Not there yet. We are 4 miles and we're traveling 5 miles a minute. Oh my gosh. No, we're traveling 6 miles a minute. So it's been 1 minute, so we've traveled 6 miles. We're now 2 miles past beginning a descent. Writing in the log, beginning a descent at 1640. So guys, I felt like a MARC train, like a Maryland area rail commuter diesel train on the Northeast Corridor. A diesel train with a maximum speed limit of 100, or a maximum capable speed of 102 miles per hour with a speed limit of 125. You take that throttle and you slam it in full and you hold it there until it's time to slow down for the next station. Well, guess what? It's time to slow down for the next station. So let's listen to the broad. Ready? Here we go. Wow. Look at how quickly we're slowing down, even descending. Oh my gosh, we burned up so much fuel. Okay, now having passed Point Bod, we need to update our nav log here. Oh no, we're still following 50 degrees. So this doesn't change. Alright, if I want to try to find Niue, it's going to be about 45 degrees off on the right side. I'm a little bit disturbed that the sun isn't rising. You know, I planned this to occur pretty much with the sunrise, and I'm not seeing it, so there's something spooky going on with the timing, but I think I'm going to be alright because of the moon. Can't see anything just yet. Alright, and this is going to be a little bit tricky because now we just lost all of our speed. So, just about 5 minutes, I think we were anticipating for LOP intercept. Actually, 7 minutes. It's 43. So I need to keep this thing going. Can't stop navigating. That's one way to get in big trouble. Okay, more linear interpolation. We're going to take a shot at 1645. That will be 75% of 2.25. So we're going to use a 23.24. So that's going to be 2415 as our new elevation here, and that's the only thing that changes. Well, actually, no. let's see, 1, 2, 3 of 4 means 28. So our azimuth will change just a little bit as well. I have 40 nautical miles written down, so we're going to clear the shot there. Paging Niue. Niue, where are you? Well, I can tell dawn is coming along, but I don't understand why it's not brighter. Maybe it's because I've been spoiled by having slower flights than normal, so I'd be like 10 minutes behind, and that's why I'm getting confused. Oh, shoot, I'm behind. We're almost at LOP intercept. I'm not really having to move the, okay, just a little bit here. Alright, let's see, we're at about 20,000 feet. No, a little bit lower than that, 18,000. So 18,000, we're going to assume a temperature of 0°C, freezing level, of 18,000 feet, which I think is pretty acceptable in the tropics. And we're getting an indicated airspeed of 230, which means our true airspeed is going to be about 310 miles an hour. So it's 5 miles a minute. We took the shot at 45, which means we're going to be 5 miles further away than what it says. So now we're going to be at -5. So 1 minute, 16:47, that's the time. That is the time we will turn. So let's plot that LOP, and we're going to turn down. Wait a minute. Yeah, that's right. We're heading at 50 degrees. That's right. We're going to turn in a southeasterly direction from a northeasterly direction. I am so used to southeasterly trajectories. But now we're going northeast to Tahiti. So -10 nautical mile from LOPI. And the only reason I'm writing all this stuff down as opposed to like celestial navigation is because it's coming so quickly. At 16:45, LOP intercept turn at 16:47. So if I repeated the shot, I shouldn't have to offset at all. Maybe 5 nautical miles now. Yeah, 5. Okay. I'll say 48. We'll turn it 48. (28 plus 90, 118). Oh, but then we got to convert to magnetic. 118, and it's subtract east. Ah, we just went in the clouds. Okay, well, that means we're going to have to turn. So I'm actually surprised because the clouds aren't actually that thick, but I was told it's not perfect. Okay, so we're at -5. We're turning. We are turning. So I got to convert that to magnetic. What did I say? 118. 20. Yeah, 118. (118) and subtract east, -14. So it's going to be 104 is what we're going to turn to. There we go. And I see something purple on the horizon. Kind of hard to tell what exactly that is. I must admit, the weather's not the best it could be. Let's see, how far is it from the LOP intercept to base? It is 35 miles, and at 300 miles an hour, we're going to cover that in 7 minutes. So, expecting Niue at 7 minutes plus 16:48, so 16:55, we're expecting Niue. And I don't think I got through the rest of my descent checklist. Prop governors, fuel boost pumps off below 12,000 feet. Okay, so not really missed anything. We're now under 10,000. So we'll turn those guys off. Let's see, O2 flow off below 10,000 feet. We are not in need of it anymore. Oxygen flow off. And it's going to start to get warm here, so I'm going to turn that off. It's cockpit heat, by the way. Why is it so purple over there? I guess it's just a strange effect of the sunrise. $16.55. Let me get that written down. So we've got about 4.5 minutes before I'm going to start getting a little bit concerned. We can try that LOP intercept again. 1650. We'll take one right now. The base says that it's going to be exactly 24.8. So that's going to be 24 degrees, 48 minutes. And I have the shot information. Yes, I do. Okay, so I'm going to clear, and the new azimuth is going to be 27 degrees. This is most interesting. Alright, I want to say I definitely see something over there. It is a small island, mind you. Small enough that it could be possible that my sextant reading might not be accurate enough to cause me landfall. That's okay. I'll just mark down that I took a turn. 1652. Turned. Whoa, that wasn't set right. I said 104. I set 114. That's the issue. 'Cause I should have been going over here. Well, the good news is I'm making up for it now. So we got an of course we got an offset of 0. We couldn't use this thing. Alright, 2 minutes. Although we're not going anywhere near 300 miles an hour anymore. We're getting close to the surface of the Earth here. How low are we? At 4,000 feet? I don't feel that comfortable. I don't feel very comfortable with clouds this low. I'm seeing some strange shapes on the horizon. You know, I can't be certain, but looks like something's going on up ahead. The island very well could be straight in front of me, and I just wouldn't be able to see it. Oh man, this is hard. The highest spot on Niue is like 300 feet. Man. It's really, really thick here. Let me dial in the 29.83. Oh, it's the same. Okay, so I don't have to touch this. We're now at 2.5. Well, it's daytime now. This is not good. We're gonna lose our star pretty soon. All right, 16:55. This is pretty much it. If I can't spot it by the time we get to, oh man, we're being forced right down to the surface. We're at about 1,000 feet. I can't descend anymore. Dang, these low clouds. And dang this weather, oh my gosh. It's an island that's 6 miles wide. That's all you get. Alright, let's set up some emergency shots really quick. We're running out of time. So I'm going to assume we're at the destination. That's going to be 1905, 19 degrees, 5 minutes south, 169 degrees, 55 minutes. Current time is 16:57. Oh, and I forgot. The clouds are probably going to ruin it all. We're heading in a easterly direction. Okay, Saturn. Elevation 30 degrees. It's flipping clouds. Elevation of 30 degrees. Azimuth of... No, I hit the wrong knob. Elevation of 30 degrees. And the azimuth is going to be 100. Oh my gosh. Quick. Okay, we got it. 16:58. This is going to give me another line of position to work off of. 35-mile offset. Wow. Okay. 35 miles in 100 degrees. So that's going to be 10 degrees. This is called E1 speed LOP. So we're 35 miles beyond the island now, which is pretty much no surprise to me. Let's get star 1 in there now. And that was then. So 1658. So we're two miles beyond it. Or let's see, we're flying 200 miles an hour now. So that's 3 miles a minute, 6 minutes. So we are 42 miles east of Niue. Alright, so I got something with an azimuth of 100. Now I need something with an azimuth near 0. Let's do Vega. Current time is 1701. And that says 205, so that's an azimuth of 15 degrees. And 15 degrees and 25 degrees. Um, 35 minutes. Alright, let's clear that out. Please give me something. Yes! Okay, this is kind of weird. This is telling us that we're pretty much on it. On it at 15 degrees, so 285. 285 subtract east means 270. The offset, oh, it's not that close, it's 15 miles. So we need to head northwest. Alright, so a track of 317 will get us right to the island. Subtract east means 303 degrees. And I better as heck follow this, because this is the only shot I've got. The sun is coming up. I'm going to lose the ability to use the stars. Man, where the heck is this place? Alright, update on Saturn. Now it's, Saturn's going to be a little bit behind us now, because we just did an about face. Saturn's going to be at, let's see, 17, we'll do 1707. Saturn is going to be at 280 minus 180, so Saturn back to 100. Back to 100, and this time 3240. 15-mile offset. Vega, that's positive 15. Minus 35 miles. Nothing has changed. Something's wrong. I said Saturn was at 100 degrees. Minus 35 nautical miles. We're further away. Minus 35 means... Alright, let me think about this. So 3240, the base expects it up here, but we read it at 3205. Actually, it's over here. So 3205 is going to be lower. Yeah, that completely overlays it. Which means we got to be going the wrong way. Oh my gosh, the green is base. The green was base all along. Oh my gosh. Critical error on my part. Oh my gosh. The two lines where they cross, that's us, not the base. I need to be going exactly the opposite direction. Oh man. $17.10 was 2 minutes at 3 miles a minute, so that's six. Well, we'll call it 4 miles a minute. Eight. So that's 7 nautical miles minus 42 miles at 17:11 or 17:10. Expecting base at 42 miles at 220 miles an hour. At 11 and a half minutes. 17, 21, 30 is expected to be base. Oh my gosh. Is it my lucky day or what? It just cleared up. Oh my gosh. Get me altitude now. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Stop. Let me take a look at how much leftover fuel we were expecting. 3 hours and 30 minutes, but that's at the high speed. We burn about 60 gallons per hour when we're not climbing like we are now. So we are, let's see how late we are. We're at about 15 minutes late. So we probably only burned about 20 more gallons. We were expecting 489, so we're probably at 469. Oh, we reached 12,000 feet. I can still see stars. We can try Saturn again. It's now 17:15. Saturn is expected to be at 34:32 now. $279, 280, still at 100 degrees. I'm glad it hasn't changed. I have the 35 nautical mile offset, so clear and take the shot. Well, right now it looks like we're sighting Uranus more than Saturn. Hallelujah. There it is. Woo! Alright, 30 miles off. Don't you dare. Don't you dare do that. Alright. Big and bold. Land. 1717. Direction, pretty much right where it was saying. Yeah, direction 130. Okay, so I think my recovery was okay. We would have been alright, assuming that we didn't have too many clouds when we were coming in, but man, that weather clearing up really saved us. And just so you guys know, this is real weather being fed in. I have no control over it. So it just happened to be really good timing, call it divine providence if you will. Really good timing, the weather cleared up. I did not do that. I have no control over that. Oh man. I'm glad this thing is recorded because I have no clue where I went wrong. I mean, the only thing that comes to mind right now is the fact that I said we were skipping taking the course offset at the beginning of descent, and we went just for the LOP intercept. That may have done us in somehow. I don't exactly know how, but it might have. So we fixed the problems that occurred in leg 4. We had a good leg 5. We had a bad leg 6. We'll fix the problems with leg 6, and we'll be even better for leg 7. What the heck is going on in there? Is that my crystal ball? Show me Niue. Ooh. Alright, this island is really small. It's going to be in the southwest. I can actually already sight the the runway there. Let's see, based on the anticipated winds from earlier, we're expecting to use runway 28. So we'll enter downwind from the south. Man, that was close. Okay, I can still see some stars, but it's really, really close. That is an exact last quarter move. Alright, I'm going to get the landing checklist ready here. Oh yeah, I need to calculate how much fuel I burned. So, let's say we average between climb and cruise. So when we're really burning up fuel, we're using about 140 gallons per hour, and otherwise we're using 60. So if I average the two, we'll assume that we used about 100 gallons per hour. So let's see, we had a 40-minute cruise, so that's going to be 66 gallons out of the tanks. 33 for each one. And then, let's see, we were expecting arrival at like 16:56. And we're going to be about half an hour late. So that's going to be another 50 gallons or 25 from each tank. So that's 33 and 25, 58 gallons, which means each drop tank is still going to have 58 gallons. Each drop tank is still probably likely to have 107 gallons, which is more than our reserve tanks. So for those purposes, we already have the fuel selectors to the fullest tanks. Fuel boost pumps are already on. Propeller governors are at 2600 RPM. We'll advance those now. Put those up to 26. Mixture controls and auto rich. Intercooler shutters. I'm going to have to hop out for that. That's the only one I can't see from the inside. Those are open. And all we got to do now is establish 175 miles per hour on downwind. The good news is, guys, this sort of business of not navigating my entire checklist, like the big long checklist that causes me to talk for like 3 hours straight and not be able to catch up. So that checklist wasn't executed because I didn't have enough time to read it out. But that's because of the short flight. This is it. You know, after this, the flights get longer and longer and longer. The next flight is going to be it's going to be double at 675, and then the next one at 714, and then there's Tahiti at 1045, Totagegi at 1621, and Easter Island to Robinson Crusoe 1869. So the point that I'm making is, I don't think the excuse of, oh, I don't have enough time to run that checklist will be valid anymore, because I'm not expecting to ever have a flight this short again at all. Even the freebie flight from Robinson Crusoe to South America is longer than this one. And I say it's a freebie flight because, I mean, Chile is 1,000 miles long and it's completely straight. How are you going to miss that, other than not flying between 360 and 180? Alright, so I said we wanted 28, so let's go ahead and line this up here. Let's get on our downwind here. You know, it's funny, I'm remembering back to a melody that I heard years ago on the internet YouTube. You can look it up. It's called Symphony of Science, Onward to the Edge, and it basically talks about how the humankind, Earthlings, have to start reaching out to the planets and going there. And there's this one verse and one phrase in the song where I think it's Carolyn Porco. She's a big Saturn scientist, Saturn planetary scientist. Says there's a powerful recognition that stirs within us when we see our own little blue ocean planet in the skies of other worlds. And right now, having got lost on this little blue ocean planet, I don't feel like it's that small right now. I mean, I get what it's saying, you know, compared to the stars that I'm shooting. Oh my gosh, this is so small. But and compared to the plane that I'm flying, oh my gosh, I was 35 miles away and hopelessly lost. Okay, continuing with the landing checklist. Speed established 175 miles per hour. We'll put the landing light on again for good measure. That's not the landing light. That's the landing light. Alright, landing gear down and confirmed. Okay, speed established 150. Well, things seem to have settled out pretty well. Not bad. Well, at least I'm getting better on my approaches. Let's see, I think we can make our base turn now. Try not to overspeed the landing gear. I've overshot every single one of these base to final turns. Hopefully I can finally get one right. Okay, now this is an undershoot, but that's okay. We'll just follow whatever this is. I guess it's just a dirt road. Alright, I think I'm a little bit low. P38 has a very high approach angle. Alright, let me wake my feet up here, get lined up with the runway. I need a good approach because it looks like it's windy. Oh, over speeding the flaps. Alright, well forget that. We're definitely high. Alright, looks like we got a slight crosswind from the north. Alright, landing is assured, flaps are down. What's the runway length on this thing again? Does not look like it's very long. We should make it. I think that was probably my best landing yet, actually. That one felt really in control. Okay, after landing flaps up, fuel boost pumps off, 1, 2. Propeller governors full forward, coolant shutters full open. Oil shutters are completely open. Landing lights, we'll turn those off once we get off the runway here. To be honest, I think I might be being a little bit hard on myself, in the sense that I feel like I've failed. I mean, I keep on ending up on the island, and these kinds of things did happen in real life, where you just can't get your sextant shot off. So, I mean, like, what do I have to say? Well, I think that there's probably some improvements that can be made to how I'm doing my flights. You know, there is no one way of looking at it. I can certainly improve myself. but maybe I shouldn't be as hard on myself for, you know, I start panicking when I can't see land. I'm like, oh, we need to do an emergency shot. Well, I don't know, do you? You didn't see land, but the reason you didn't see land is because there were clouds everywhere. So just take your shot, figure out where you are, figure out which direction you need to go. It's that simple. Granted, you know, when it's clear, it certainly does help, but it's not necessary, and it shouldn't be necessary to hit land off the LOP intercept, because that's assuming that there's going to be a 60-mile clear shot to the island, and that you're going to be not being blown off wind at any point at any time through that, and you know that's just not going to happen. So, I mean, hopefully it's just the fact that we're in an unpredictable part of the world. Like I said, the further east we get in the Pacific, the drier it's going to get, and by the time you get as far east as Easter Island, you're supposed to have generally cirrus clouds and everything clear below that because it's just so dry. But we'll have to see what kind of weather we get when we get there. You know, it's going to be an evolutionary process. It's going to begin once we get to Rarotonga. And that's going to be a lot more scary than this one because, let's see, Niue was, let's see, that's 6 miles in radius. Rarotonga is, yeah, that's even scarier. That's 3 miles in radius. 6 miles in diameter. And the closest thing to Rarotonga, 126 miles, almost out of sight range. Yeah. Like I said, I need to get things in order. Oh yeah. I almost forgot. We want to hop out on the wing, check our fuel levels here. Okay, Dipstick says, let's see, left auxiliary is going to be left reserve, 55.7. Left main is full. Right reserve, 55.7. Right main is full. Left external, we'll call that 99. And right external is 99. So I think we burned a little bit more than I was expecting. So I think we would have landed with about 105 left in the external tanks if we burned what I expected. Probably a lot more on the climbs is what happened. So, let's see. 93 and 93 is going to be 186. Plus 112 for the reserves, and then plus 198 for everything else, which means we're going to get a grand total of, what is this number? It's a 9. 486? 495. This is always off by 10. I hate it every single time. Always the same math error. 186, 112, and 198. $496. Okay, that's a green. I thought it was a little bit funny because that it'd be 486 because that was a number from SpongeBob, the number of letters in the alphabet in 2,000 years after whatever year Squidward got frozen in the freezer at the Krusty Krab. Oh yeah, I have some more landing checklists, so we'll turn the landing light off. And then, let's see, it's going to be about 30 C, so, forgot to turn that off again. Yeah, that's going to make things real toasty. Let's see, and recognition lights, we'll turn those off too. I love those Pacific palm trees. We're getting deeper into the Pacific, so there's more of them. Alright, there we go. Tanks are full. Alright, let's do the stopping engines checklist, and we'll go ahead and end this one. So throttle open to 1600 RPM. Return to 1200. Mixture, idle cutoff. Throttle open when firing stopped, when propeller stopped rotating, magnetos off. Left off, right off, master off. Cockpit heat is off. Intercooler flaps, close those. Coolant shutters, close. Okay, so I think up is closed. Down is open. Okay, so this one behaves right. This guy behaves right too. So I think it's just the oil coolers that are a little bit different. Alright, so all left clicks is closed. Up position is closed, but I guess that's automatic. Then still closed, and down is open. But then very down is closed. That's the problem. So this guy is the only one of all of them that's annoying. So to close, right click all the way. To open, left click all the way, but then right click once. Yeah, that does it. Okay. These things are annoying. Okay, avionics light off. AC generator off. Generator is off. One off. Two off. Panel light is off. And we'll turn the gun switch here off. Everything else is in the proper position. Battery off. And fuel selectors are both in the drop tank position. Alright guys, this is it. We're here on the island of Niue. Very glad to be here. Again, not a very good flight this time in terms of weather. We almost got lost, but we did catch it in time. And we did properly land. So I'm going to go back over the footage again. Hopefully the exact same thing that happened with leg 4 happens on leg 7. So that is the problem gets fixed and things are okay again. So I think that's it. After this point, we're going to go on the long 670-mile journey to Tonga, and meanwhile the ocean beneath us will be between 16 and 17,000 feet, pretty much the entire way there. We're in blue water now, and we only have 2 more legs until Tahiti, which is, distance-wise, the center of the trip, and, well, leg-wise, we've completed leg 6. We're halfway there in terms of legs. There are 12 legs in total, and we've completed 6. So, onward to number 7. I've been Dr. Aeronautics, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Hey guys, this is Dr. Aeronautics after the fact again, unfortunately. We had a little bit of a anomaly in that flight, and instead of calling it the LOPI anomaly, which is approximately when it occurred, this one occurred at the next step, which is the continued navigation after LOP turn, so we called it the clouds anomaly. So I discovered 4 direct causes, and out of it came 5 actions. So there was no acceptable method of recording the need to advance an LOP that wasn't completely straight. I ended up recording stars that were not fully perpendicular twice, so that offset where I thought I was from where I actually was. I made a careless error by setting my heading bug to 114 instead of 104 degrees. I failed to account for the fact that we're not going 300 miles per hour while descending. In fact, it goes down to about 165 miles per hour. I also failed to correct for the fact that we were 5 miles short of the LOP, and I figured, okay, well, we'll just turn, knowing that we'll be 5 nautical miles off, and that sort of escaped my mind. I can't do that. I have to take the E6B and calculate out what that correction is and put that correction in. And lastly, I totally missed the negative 35 nautical miles. I thought it was 35, even though I probably saw that it was negative 35. By that time, I had confirmation bias. So I saw it as 35, in which case I drew the LOP in the opposite direction that I should have. And actually, this one persisted all the way past the end of the flight. And I have it in Google Earth, a wrongly plotted LOP. I have actual factual evidence of that. And in the editing, I plotted the correct LOP and found that had I plotted it correctly the first time, we wouldn't have had that issue. So out came 5 actions. First, to add the 2 of the course columns that were added, or that I believed were added and weren't. They were never auto-populate, so I ignored those. Those are visible on the Celestial snap. If you go back to the beginning of the video, you should see NS off course and EW off course columns. Those I used to think needed to be filled in, but they don't need to be. The second, I had to, or at least I thought I had to add in a extra check to advance an LOP. I actually already have that in there, and I accepted the action because I had ignored using my chart because I said I didn't have enough time. So that was at my own risk, and we're not going to be doing that again because the flights will be longer. Also add a step to the route planning that calculates descent speed. That's done. It's step number 24 in my procedures. Add a cross-check compass check to continue navigating after LOP intercept turn. That's been added to the landfall chart. Add a step to the LOP intercept instructions to handle offsets due to weather. That has also been added to the landfall activation chart. So with the incorporation of these actions, I seriously hope that we have fixed whatever problems might occur, and on the Niue to Tonga leg coming up, things will be fixed and we'll have a good leg. That's all I wanted to say. See you guys next time.